All right, what's going on, guys? This is Liam here, and I'm back in Melbourne. It is incredibly cold. Let me just fix this. So, back in Melbourne from about a year overseas. So if you're in Melbourne now, now's the time to meet up with me. So reach out to me, send me an email, we can meet up, it's no problem. So what I want to talk about now is an interesting family story. So I had to come back. I was originally going to go to Perth and see some people, tonight's people on the way home, but due to family sickness, I had to come home pretty quickly, unfortunately, but that's the way that things go. Sorry, guys. But another family situation which is really, really interesting and eye-opening to me is something that will probably interest you guys as well, and that is that my mum got tinnitus recently. So she's a nurse, she's got a very stressful job, and she spends a lot of time under blue light because she's a nurse, so she's indoors. And if you don't know what it's very cold in Melbourne, but it's hot indoors. If you don't know what an OR is, it's an operation room, okay? And so there's no windows. So the point is that there can't be any bacteria, there can't be any outside germs that get in, so it's literally just a wall. So if you imagine the room you're in right now, whatever room you're in, with no windows and just glaring light. And on top of that, you've got light that you can pull over to shine down on the operation. So she works with the ENTs, she works with gastroenterologists, she works with other doctors as well, she works in recovery too, but it's all just LED blue light. Because you've got to remember, a hospital is a business. She works in a hospital. I won't say which hospital because obviously I don't want to reveal that to people online, but she's a nurse, she works there, she's about to retire, she's been there for so long. So she messaged me when I was in Thailand probably a month ago, and she said, you know, I've had tinnitus for about 3 months. It's, you know, I thought it would go away, but it's really annoying, what should I do? And I gave her the exact, first of all, it's kind of devastating because, you know, when you have it, you know how bad it is. And you know, if other people have it, you kind of feel bad for them. But when you have it, and then you know that you got rid of it, I got rid of it, and then a family member has it, you know that it can be difficult to get rid of, but you also know that it's so well, actually it's not difficult, it's just putting the effort into it. The difficult thing is actually doing it, okay? So when you do it, it's easy, but it's not difficult. So anyway, I told her what to do, she followed the steps, and her tinnitus is now nearly completely gone. Maybe I'll do a video with her. I don't really want to put her face on the internet, but I find this really interesting. And so anyway, so it took her about 3 weeks to get these results, and her tinnitus is nearly completely gone. And she's always been somebody that drank, you know, 2 or 3 cups of coffee in the morning with milk and sugar, and she was very healthy. She'd ride her bike to work every morning, half an hour, ride home. You know, she was into the keto thing, very healthy. But unfortunately, people don't understand much about the human body because people get their information so not from books, they get it from YouTube. So if you ever see my videos, you might see that I actually mispronounce some things. That's because I don't get my information from stupid fucking YouTube people, okay? Now, that's pretty rich coming from me, who's a YouTuber myself, someone who puts their videos on YouTube, but you gotta understand that that's probably the best medium to get it out to you guys, so why not? But you'll see this as well, and I remember seeing that it just showed me how people just don't do the research. I'll give you, and this is going to tie into tinnitus, guys. This might be a bit of a longer video, but it's definitely worth watching in my opinion. So I remember there's these series of videos online, and if you type in motivation, what people do is they get movie scenes that are really motivating, like Into the Wild or Will Smith in that movie where he was a broke accountant, and they play some really sad, like Superman background motivational music, and they get the audio, it's like audio of like motivational speakers like Tony Robbins, like you can do it. It's like, it really pumps you up, and I like it a lot. But I remember there was this one scene that just really revealed to me how much people just read one thing and go, yeah, that's a fact, this is how it goes, that's true. What it was, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a movie that came out years ago called Apple, and I think it was called Apple, but Ashton Kutcher was in it. And on his press tour for that movie, Ashton Kutcher gave a speech to a university, I think, and it was like, and Steve Jobs said, you know, and it was something like, everyone tells you the world is made up, everything you see around you was created by people who are no smarter than you. And that's a Steve Jobs quote. And then I heard it in this motivational video, like years ago, this person who I had no idea who he was, he said, and Ashton Kutcher said, the world is made up, everything in the world you see is made up by people who are no smarter than you. And I was like, what? That wasn't Ashton Kutcher, that was Steve Jobs. And so people just take these quotes and they take these ideas and they take these concepts and they take them as It's online, it's a video, he's got a YouTube channel, he's got, 1 million followers, he's got 10,000 followers, he's got this, he's got that, he looks like a cool guy, looks like a cool girl, very compelling, very cool music, they're handsome, he's handsome, she's pretty, like the vegan girl, she's pretty, I want to be like her, and they don't do any deep diving or even the slightest bit of look into it. And I think that what people don't understand is that the real information and the real knowledge comes from reading information, and Jack Cruz will attest to this too. So back to my mum, she said that in the first 10 days of following she did it hardcore, like no fucking around, like harder than most people I know do it. Now, I advise people to not go hardcore, but she's like getting old, and she's thought, I'm not gonna deal with this shit. So, and she's a tough lady. Like my entire family is tough. So that's kind of why I ended up, not that I'm tough, but I'm not a bitch either. So she immediately went out and did everything I told her to do. She said she felt like she was dying in the first 10 days. What did she do? She cut out, I've got it here to show you. She cut out the coffee. She cut out the tea. This is just, my brother and my dad live with my mum, so they're gonna eat it too. She cut out the grapes, no eating that. And, let me just get this. She cut out the bread as well. So this is for my brother and father. What did she do? She did exactly what I told her to do as well. So she took the stuff out straight away, and she brought the other stuff in. So I'm going to cover this so you can't see where it's from, because obviously I don't want you to know where I live. Where is it? Where's her name? Can you see that? Down the bottom, Miss Terry Bowen. Maybe you'll be able to chuck it down anyway. Terry Bowen there. And there's another one here. Miss Terry Bowen again. And selenium and the salt. Okay? Colored as well. Just did it. She just did what I told her to do. And so tonight is nearly completely gone. She can't believe it. And I said to her, did you go to an ENT? Because she works with an ear, nose, throat doctor. She works 4 days a week doing surgery and recovery. Ear, nose, and throat doctor, gastroenterologist, a doctor who does work on, I don't know what you call it, but penises and vaginas, to be very scientific, stuff like prostate cancer removal and stuff like that, and then something else which I forget. And then she has three-day weekend. And so she said to the ENT, she said to me, I didn't go and see an ENT because, obviously I show her the results and she's very proud of me and she shows all the doctors and yada, 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 because why wouldn't you? And I've helped some of her friends in the past, which is very, very fulfilling. And so I'm kind of glad I'm her son because she was able to get rid of it, and it's nearly gone after 3 weeks. And I said to her, did you go to an ENT? And she said, no. As I said, I saw your results and I thought, fuck it, what she did say that. But why would I go to an ENT when I could just try your thing? I said, interesting. I said, so did you tell any ENTs about your results? She said, yeah. So here's what's gonna blow your fucking mind. So if you know my story, you'd know that the moment I realized that ENTs could not help me, would not help me, or didn't care, was when I was sitting in an office. I just spent about 2 years with one ENT who legitimately tried to help me but couldn't. He was the one who gave me surgery, vomiting blood for days. And I went to this new doctor for the first time, doctor if you want to even fucking call him that. And he was brand new ENT, fresh out of his placement in the hospital. So you have to do that before you do a specialty. Now he's an ENT specialist. And he took a FaceTime call in my consultation to talk to his friends who were day drinking. And the call lasted about 30 seconds. Which was totally appalling. He's now fired because he's a joke. And that's, that is uncommon for that to happen. I'm not saying every ENT answers calls. But he didn't care about me. He just said, I said, can we try something? He said, no, it's just for life. Have a nice day. Pay on the way out, sort of thing. So fuck you too. Anyway, so my mum said to this guy, she said, you're not going to believe this. My son I told you about with who's fixing tinnitus, I've been following his advice and my tinnitus is nearly gone. You know what he did? And just walked the fuck off. Pop quiz for you guys, and I want you to actually put the effort in and comment this below. Pop quiz. How many people in this guy's life, after hearing that from my mother, who, by the way, my mum, Nurse, she's about to retire. She's been working in the same hospital for so long. Very respected, very high up nurse, okay? No bullshit, no nothing. She's great, she's respected. She works in the field of fucking with ENT. She's not an ENT, but she works with ENTs, gastroenterologist, very professional, very educated, okay? Not some person online, not some stranger at a bar, not me who yells at people online. A proper nurse who works with him said this to him. Just to put some context. How many people do you fucking think he told? Okay, how many people? People online, his patients, okay? Other doctors. Maybe did he even YouTube me? Did he even Google me? Did he even want to see what I had to say? Did he even discuss it with his wife at home? How many people do you really think that he told? This woman comes up to him who's very educated, very believable, and says, my tinnitus is nearly gone after 3 weeks. After following, dietary stuff and other stuff which I just showed you. How many people do you think? Now, answer this as well. How many people that same day do you think he told, sorry, your tinnitus is for life? I'm gonna guess there's a bit of a fucking difference in those fucking numbers. Fucking disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Once again, if you guys don't remember, I made a video recently about how I was in Los Angeles with a lovely woman who let me stay in her apartment. She's great. And I went with her the very first time I spoke to her online a few times, and then I met her in Los Angeles. And I met her in the waiting room to go see the top ENT expert, TNT and tinnitus and hyperacusis. Sorry, I haven't slept in about 2 days, guys, so travel, family stuff, excuse me. Expert in Los Angeles, hyperacusis tinnitus. And so I was sitting in the room, he gave her the whole, you got to buy this $3,000 thing, blah, 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 the results aren't good, whatever, bullshit. And then she said, oh, by the way, this is Liam, he's from Australia, he helps people silence their tinnitus using diet and fasting. You know what he did? So anyway, about the earpieces. Guys, really, do you really think that ENTs give a fuck about something that's going to take money out of their pocket? Now, let me just say one thing. And I've said it before and I will say it again. I respect doctors. We absolutely need them. I'm not calling for the ban of all doctors. That's completely insane, okay? We need doctors for things like birth. We need doctors for things like surgery and intervention from other things too. If you swallow a nail, what are you gonna do? Go take essential oils? That's fucking stupid, okay? The hydrochloric acid in your stomach is gonna have a hard fucking time burning down a nail. You need surgery, you need an intervention. If your child, okay, falls down the stairs and snaps its arm and the bone's sticking out, what are you gonna do? You're gonna fast, like Liam told you to do? No, you need to see a doctor ASAP, okay? Multiple issues. Now, of course, a lot of these are preventable, not falling downstairs, but preventable dietary issues from fixing your diet. If you look at Natasha Campbell, her work on schizophrenia, autism, ADHD, Asperger's syndrome, okay, multiple rheumatoid arthritis, okay, different things like that. Anyway, so it's just very interesting to me. And here's the other thing. Even if you're an ENT and you're watching it, because I know that I'm getting a lot of ENTs watching my videos now, you've emailed me, I'm emailing back when I can. Here's the thing. I know that you're actually stinted, if that's the word, you're locked in and regarding what you can say because of the standard of care. You've paid $300,000 for this education, you've worked 10 years, you've worked your ass off, and you deserve, to an extent, to be able to make money and succeed. And the best way to do that, obviously, is to follow the standard of care, because if you deviate from the rules of the standard of care from your local governing body, federal, state, or nationwide government, that's if you're in America and Australia too, if you deviate outside those rules, I know that you're more open to getting sued, losing your medical license, you've got a family to support, maybe your wife doesn't work, maybe she does, maybe you're a woman and your husband doesn't work, whatever it is, you've got restrictions. And I know that it's hard, but at least tell your fucking patient to try and fix their diet while you do whatever else you do. CBT, okay, whatever you're gonna do. But don't just tell them there's no hope, because with the internet online, the people that I help getting the results they're getting, there's really no excuse right now. There's really no excuse to just tell people there's no hope. Here's a funny thing about doctors as well. They have to go to conferences every year as part of keeping a medical license, and those conferences are funded by big companies. The conference on depression is funded by Zoloft and Xanax and pharmaceutical companies like Bayer. It's a total crock of shit. Unfortunately, it's not the doctor's fault, so don't blame your doctors. Really, if you want to blame anyone for getting sick, blame yourself, okay? As horrible as it sounds, tinnitus is a gift as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't seem like it now, but when you get rid of it, you'll be much healthier for it. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say on that. We're going to cover a couple more things, actually. What I'm going to do now is show you how to take the iodine, because a lot of people are always asking me. So I always use a metal bottle. This is just tap water, unfortunately, because Melbourne is so bloody expensive. If you ever lived here, it's unbelievable. So this is about half a litre of water, I estimate. And so what I'm going to do, you can see that, can't you, is I'm going to get the iodine. Speak to your doctor before doing this. Okay, that's the thing. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know about your medical history. That's why you need a doctor to tell you if following my stuff is safe, because they are helpful. They are, most of them. Okay, so I'm going to take about this much. Okay. Remember, this is a bit more. This is a stimulant. Okay, so don't take it at night time. Also, you can't overdose on it. Someone linked me in my private Facebook group a while ago and said, Liam, you said you couldn't overdose in iodine. Look at this article. And it was a Japanese article that it was a study, but it was an associative study, not a causal study. If you don't know what association is, I'll give you an example of association. Association is this ridiculous study that this stupid YouTube channel called Nutrition Facts, Dr. Gregor the Vegan, made a video, I think it was even a couple of days ago, about how the Japanese, the people of Japanese are succumbing to higher rates of schizophrenia and what is it? I forget. I'm even getting a bit of brain problems myself, lack of sleep. So anyway, and you know, and he looked at the data of the country, and it showed, oh well, their intake of meat has gone up. So therefore, the trajectories are somewhat the same. So that means that the intake of meat is causing the schizophrenia. Oh my God, we should all eat grains and beets and carrots. That is not science, okay? That is not causal, that's associative. And anyone who knows what the fuck they are doing and is not trying to fuck you and make you buy their stupid ebook, okay, will understand that's not science, okay? Look at the work done, look at the great talk done by Sean Baker, okay? Actual doctor who served in the war, sewed people up on a daily basis, is helping people. I'll link a video below of his, and he talks about how association is not causal, okay? Totally ridiculous. I'll give you another example just to make it very clear. Let's say that my mum is out and my brother is going to come, I'm home, and let's say I've got a crazy brother, which I don't, and my mum sees my brother walk home with a hammer, and then 20 minutes later, I walk out of the home with a gash on my forehead. She's going to go, oh my God, Harrison walked home with the hammer, and then Liam came out, that's my brother's name, Liam came out, this would never happen by the way, and he's got a gash on his head, it must have been Harrison, okay? That's associative, okay? It's not proven, okay? It's not causal. Maybe I slipped and hit my head on this marble counter. Maybe I fell out of bed, maybe I slipped in the shower, maybe I did it to myself. Who knows? But it's not fucking causal, okay? It's associative. It's not real science. It doesn't prove anything, okay? For example, maybe you have, let's say like a religious school church, and then, you know, another, let's say like two new male pastors come in, and let's say for some fucking reason, like the rate of sexual abuse goes through the roof. Oh, it's because the new men went in. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's because, you know, a movie came out and the kids learned that they could get paid off if they lied about being sexually abused. Maybe, because you get what I'm saying? It's association. I'm not saying that happens, but you get what I'm saying. And you have to look at it in those really sick terms, because we are dealing with people's lives and people's health, and people do fucked up things, okay, for money and to look good and for ego. So what I'm gonna do now, I'll show you, drink this. Oh, did I put the salt in there? I think I did. I'll put a bit more. Do you see how really not full on I am about this, about the measurements? Also, it stains, so don't get it on your clothes. Iodine. Oh, I've got it on the fucking bench, haven't I? That was smart. Oh boy. My mum's gonna kill me. Anyway, so. Now, why do I have it in these, this measurement, okay? It's to dilute the taste, okay? Doesn't have to be anything, okay? I recommend taking this in the morning, an hour after selenium. Just take the recommended daily dosage, okay? And just drink it like this. You can drink it over 3 hours, and you don't have to finish it, okay? You don't have to finish it. You have to go, oh God, Liam said I had to do it. No, you just don't, okay? It matters how you're feeling, okay? If you get a spike with your tinnitus, if you have this, get rid of the salt, okay? If you still have a spike, reduce the iodine intake, okay? Unfortunately, iodine, the halogen, is going to pull the bromine out of your thyroid, okay? So anyway. So what now I'm going to do is talk about some books, because now that I'm home for the first time in a long time, I went and dug up my books. So I'm going to show you a couple of books that I've read and just kind of talk briefly about them. So if all you wanted to learn was tinnitus, I'm still going to kind of talk about how they relate to tinnitus, but these are the books that I read. This is what I was saying before. People need to read. People just go online and YouTube things, and if it's not a YouTube video or doesn't pertain to their exact question, they just give up. They're in books. There's years of information inside books. So this is one of my favorite books of all time. If you don't know, Jim Morrison from The Doors named The Doors after this book, The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. It's about schizophrenia and crazy people. It's really, really interesting. It's about monks and religion, and about maybe people aren't crazy and how the mind works. Jim Morrison, funnily enough, he actually would not eat any proper food. He would spend all his money. His dad was an army dad, and he was, out of home living in Los Angeles with 3 other people. And they had to chain the pantry shut, because what he would do is he'd spend all his money on books and just get a sack of potatoes and just boil them up and eat the potatoes. So that probably led to how he was so crazy, because if you have potatoes and other gluten-based products, not the potatoes have gluten in it, but he would have bread as well. They have opioid peptides in them. And of course, he was eating those around the same time that iodine was taken out of bread, and they replaced it with brominated flour. So yeah, iodine used to be in bread and salt, but not anymore. Okay, so these, I'm just going to quickly hammer through these, which I recommend. Power of Now, it's kind of, Eckhart Tolle is kind of like a standard one about awareness. I don't really rate this book too much, to be completely honest. Maybe I just didn't understand it, but I didn't like it that much. Now, these books are much better in my opinion. This guy's not an amazing philosopher, but he kind of brings together philosophy. So this is The Art of Traveling. This is Status Anxiety by Alain de Botton, okay? This is, my favorite book by him is Consolations of Philosophy. I love philosophy, but this is really good, okay? So it's about awareness. So one thing about this book, one story in this book is, I'll see if I can find a picture. There's a story about him, and he's sitting on a mountain cliff top with his girlfriend, or soon to be girlfriend or whatever, and they're having a lovely time, and the view is amazing. I'm trying to find a picture in here, and they bring out dessert, the restaurant, where they're the restaurant on the cliff top, and they bring out dessert, and they have 2 parfaits or whatever they are, and one of them is collapsed. So he gets the good one. Here we go, this is it. They're sitting up there looking out. Pretty amazing, right? Really good book. I've read this about 3 times. And Consolations of Philosophy I've read about 5 times. Best book in the world, that one. Anyway, so they bring out the parfaits, and what happens is the woman's is collapsed and his is not. And so he says, oh, do you want mine? She goes, no, it's fine. He goes, oh, are you sure? No, I'll just have this. And so the idea is that ruined the moment. So regardless of where they were and how pretty it was and how good things were going in life and how financially successful they were, you can still have an emotional moment that takes away from everything. I couldn't disagree with that more, because the problem wasn't that the parfait was dropped. The problem was that he didn't do this. Shh, and just swap them around. That's what a man does. Very romantic, very nonchalant. You don't ask, you just do, okay? That's, it's more chivalrous, it's more masculine. That's the problem I see in that, okay? So I just thought that was very interesting that he also wrote a book about love, which is totally crap, okay, which I just disagree with. Okay, Carl Jung, Man and His Symbols. Something really interesting about this book, if you can get through it, is that he talks about the idea of how people visualize things in their head as symbols, okay, words, homes, and he talks about telling patients, okay, I want you to visualize a red home with a blue door. And so he gets his patients to actually paint it. Patients who were, have really weird, it's about dreams, okay? This is a big thing is about dreams. There's this one story about this woman who's turns into a house and she has spiders' legs. It's really creepy. And so he gets people to paint different doors. And it got me thinking with tinnitus, this was 6 years ago that I read this, all these books a long time ago, maybe less than that. And he talks about how, people have different perceptions. And I thought about tinnitus, people have different perceptions of how they should be feeling, and what their progress should be, and how they are compared to other people I help, and why they haven't been getting better yet, and maybe why they got better and why they're stuck at 1. So it's very interesting, so it's worth it. I'll just hammer through these now, okay? This is excellent, okay? Mindsight, these are books on the mind, obviously, as you can tell. This was all basically when I had tinnitus. This is what I was reading, okay? Brain That Changed Itself, there's a great book in here about a guy who has a laceration on a stroke. It's about neuroplasticity. and a man got a laceration, and he started crawling around the floor, and the brain will actually move its neurons. So if you don't know how the brain works, you have neurons, okay, all over the brain, which is all surrounded in fat, okay, cholesterol, and the nervous system, that's a nervous system, by the way, and guess what it's protected by? B vitamins. Eat your fucking meat, okay? B vitamins, don't be a vegan, that's silly. And supplements don't work as well, or they're just made from animals in the first place, so go figure. Cook your steak where it's much better. And so you have the neuron, okay, and then you have these, it's called a microtubule, okay? So you have synapses, and they're connected electrically, okay, by synapses. And within those synapses, you have, they're called microtubular associated proteins, which is the tau protein, which is actually the study of schizophrenia and dementia right now. Because what happens is, if those tau proteins kind of keep the tubes connected and keep it locked up, okay? And so the tau proteins kind of work as cement, and they start to break off eventually, okay, with old age, about poor diet, old age, poor diet, okay? They have to break off, and they kind of stick together and they clump together, and they cause blockages. So not only are they causing blockages in the brain, in the nervous system, so this is the central nervous system, the brain and the spine, and you have the peripheral nervous system, which is the extremities, okay? And so they start to break off and get frail and cause blockages, and also obviously the microtubes, okay, stop working between the neurons and they can't send messages, okay, that's where hearing works, okay. Central nervous system is, one of its main roles is to take in external stimulation, noise, sight, sound, hearing, okay, that's how it works. So I said noise and hearing twice, but you get the point, okay, so it's not functioning properly. So eat fat, eat cholesterol, B vitamins, okay, and cut out the things that are preventing it from detoxing, from lactate, acetate, acetaldehyde, and ethanol, okay, also carbohydrates. You want to get rid of that shit from your body. You need calcium, magnesium, potassium, iodine, selenium, and phosphorus. If you eat a high oxalate diet, okay, which is plants, okay, especially nuts and seeds and fruit. My mum cut out nuts, seeds, fruits like that, okay, good on her. That oxalic acid will bind with those ground minerals and prevent them from detoxing your brain, causing further problem to your tau protein. Cold showers is also a way, because tau protein is a cold shock protein. If you have a cold shower, like fucking freezing, I'm about to go jump in the ocean now, and it is cold here. It is freezing in Melbourne. Cold showers are a great way to help strengthen those tau proteins and fix your nervous system, okay? So there's that. Focus, really good book. I'll just kind of hammer through these. I have this because I don't agree with this at all. I don't think psychedelic drugs are a good idea for people with tinnitus. I just don't. This is good about raising your testosterone, okay, and estrogen. You can see why it's like that. If you stand like this, okay, for a couple of minutes, it will raise your testosterone. If you sit like this, okay, it'll lower your estrogen. If you ever see people get arrested in Japan, they have to sit on the floor, put their head down, and go like this, because they know that they'll become more, docile, okay, very interesting. This book's really good. It's about brain-derived neurotrophic factor, okay. It's about exercise and keeping your heart rate up, and about how you memorize things, sleep better, etc., etc. This is fucking brilliant, this book. Now, this is really good if you have trouble with family and social situations. Okay, I'm not selling any of these books, by the way, I don't sell these. But this is really good if you have family situations. And it kind of ties in, let me show you this, with this bad boy here that I put on my Instagram the other day. Everything is fucked, okay? Really, really good book. I'm about 50 pages in on the plane. But it talks about how, you have two brains, the emotional and the technical, and psychopaths don't have the emotional. So they have no empathy. We're talking about mirror neurons here. If you want to know how people, if you are looking at this video and imagining how I feel, it's because you are looking at me and your face mimics it, and then when your physiological face mimics it, it affects your psychology and you feel it, and that's how you know how I'm feeling. You don't just look at me and imagine how I'm feeling, you have to feel it too very briefly. That's how it works, okay? And this talks about how psychopaths don't have that, and then why they're so successful, and then also why they become serial killers. So it's kind of like a double-edged thing, but you can take that and you can understand your emotions and then take actions to benefit your life and be more successful and be happier. Really good book, okay? This obviously is a really good book too, Emotional Intelligence. Read that, it's an old one. I think it's by the same person who actually wrote, it is. This, Focus, Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence. Really good. Okay, we'll quickly go through these. This is good too. Blink, Malcolm Gladwell. It's about how you make snap judgments about people and yourself. I'm not going to no point showing you that one. Okay, and these ones are good too. If you want to know really how I think and about the world, this is it. So, philosophy. You might think it's boring, but it's very, very cool in my opinion. So, here's the thing about Socrates. So Socrates, everyone knows the phrase he said, which is, the only thing that we know is that we know nothing. Very interesting, very true, I think, because you don't know anything, and I don't either. So Socrates taught Plato, and Plato taught Aristotle. Okay, I don't know why this is here, but this is a good book too, about living. I'll just show you this last one too. This is Aristotle. So he's my favorite. This actually isn't everything he's ever done, it's not true. But you can see here, he talks about politics and psychology and health. And guess what you fucking find in this book? Okay, you find information on fasting, okay? You find information on diet. You find information on the increase of psychosis and mental problems due to the higher consumption of, guess what? Agriculturally farmed bread, okay? Fruit. Okay, the lack of hunting. Okay, for those of you who don't know, around the time in Athens as well, when philosophy was birthed, it was because people had time to sit around and think. So what happened was, slaves all around the world were funneling food and goods to Athens. Okay, and they had time to sit around and think. And at the same time, they had, because otherwise you'd be, fucking or hunting or sleeping or worrying about living. But you had a perfectly done system. But in order to have that system, you have to have some sort of compromise, and the compromise was that they were eating lots of bread and grains and fruit and vegetables. And unfortunately, around that time, they had time to think, and they started to become crazy. Okay, so unfortunately, some of the shit in this is a little bit crazy, but you kind of have to understand. It's very, very interesting. So you see what I'm saying there? So they had time to think and write and poetry and theatre. So anyway, that's what I'm reading at the moment. I don't think there's anything else I was going to talk to you about, but I recommend, if you want to know where to start with books, it would actually be this one, because it's new. You can talk to your friends about it. Mark Manson. The reason I know about Mark Manson is he wrote a dating book called Models that I read back in the day. And so, yeah, really good books. Anyway, guys, that's all for today's video. The title of this video is Does Your ENT Care? My opinion on that is either they don't give a shit at all, or they do care and they can't do anything about it because of the restrictions put onto them by the standard of care. Okay, got to remember, guys, they need to hit quotas as well, whether it's written in stone or the doctor, the head doctor or the hospital or the practice is like, we need you to sell more drugs. Or the drug rep. Got to remember, guys, drug reps come into the office and they buy their kids gifts and they take them out to dinner and they wine and dine them. But instead of fucking, okay, they join together and fuck the patient and sell them drugs. Okay, one of my family members is really, really sick and it's not looking like they're going to live for much longer, which is very sad and very unfortunate. I found this out recently because of drug intake. Okay, not ecstasy or anything like that. Over-the-counter drugs consistently recommended by their doctor. And do you think the doctor's going to get in trouble? No, because it's within the standard of care. Whoopsie, guess you're fucked. You're going to fucking die, but that's okay because I'm protected. Have a good fucking day. I'm a pillar of society. Cunt. Okay, anyway, have a nice day.